get out of an exercise. We found that the effect though lasts about 3 hours post-exercise and then it's gone. And then you got to go out the next day and do it again, and you get that stimulation. So it's a transient stimulation, which means that the frequency of exercise needs to be near daily to get the benefit for the reduction of sickness. Now, if you engage in a marathon, then you get all of the immune dysfunction, oxidative stress, inflammation, and then this transient downturn in, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, where the immune system has transient dysfunction, and we call it the open window. This is where the innate immune system is not operating normally after a marathon. The viruses get in and circulate. So what we're going to talk about today is the athlete is going to go out there and run a marathon. I've run 58 marathons. It's a challenge. You do it because it's a challenge. It's just like climbing a mountain. They tell you you can fall and hurt yourself, but you still do it. And with marathon runners, the same thing is, can they get through running a marathon somehow with the immune system handling it better because of something they can take through the diet or some supplement. So this is a huge area of scientific endeavor, is immunonutrition support. It's important for the competitive athlete, but it's also important for the military, because the war fighters have to get out there and train hard as well. So if they can take something that protects them through the diet, then obviously that's a big seller for the companies that are involved, but also important for the athlete. There's issues about ibuprofen use, which I'll get into in just a minute. So what I want to talk about is how we got into immunonutrition support and what worked early on. And this all started back in the mid-1990s when we started working with the Gatorade Sports Science Institute. And they had conducted research showing that if you take in 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour of exercise, that elevated the glucose in the blood. At the same time, that decreased the release of cortisol and epinephrine. And it's a very interesting, and I'll show you some data, that if you keep the glucose up, the cortisol and epinephrine are down during the same intensity effort. So they hypothesized that therefore the immune system would get through the exercise in better shape because the stress hormones were down. So basically they wanted me to just drink Gatorade, higher sugar in the blood, lower stress hormones, immune system gets through it better. So we initiated a whole series of studies looking at this from every angle. And here's just one of the many studies that we published in this area. And I regard this actually as a totally unexpected finding. When the Gatorade Sports Science Institute hypothesized that theory, I said, no way. Sugar is going to help the immune system during exercise. I said, no way. But it actually worked. So let's get into their theory. So first, here's one study of 15 cyclists cycling 2.5 hours at 60% watts max. So that's like 72, 73% VO2 max. And they got 4 mLs per kg per minute of Gatorade, which translates to roughly 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour. And we've used that in all of our studies, and that works really well, is that delivery of roughly a cup of a sports drink every 15 minutes during exercise. So does it keep the sugar higher? Yes. So the gray bar there is the higher glucose after cycling if they took in the Gatorade. Then this right here, though, we did do muscle biopsies in this particular study, and we showed what many others have shown, is even if you have more glucose available, it doesn't mean that the muscles still don't burn the glycogen. They still deplete the glycogen, but you just have more sugar available through the blood that helps you maintain the pace for longer. That's been shown many times. So then, the next part of the theory was that higher sugar should mean lower stress hormones. So we checked that out many times, and all of our studies show the same thing. You can see how cortisol is just really knocked down, and then this is epinephrine, same thing. If you have sugar in your system from drinking it during exercise, your stress hormones are down. So then, the novel part of our data, which the Gatorade Sports Science Institute had not done, is would that in some way help the immune system get through that stressful exercise better. So, indeed, what we did find, that's IL-6. Now, IL-6 is, I call it the red flag of the immune system. We've done so many studies. If IL-6 is high, you got an immune system under stress. If it is low, you got everything's a lot better. And as you can see here, IL-6 was significantly down with the Gatorade. And then here's another inflammatory cytokine, IL-10, very low. And then here's another inflammatory cytokine, interleukin-1 receptor antagonist, also knocked way down. It really, when we discovered this, it just caused a ripple effect throughout the entire exercise immunology community and led to a whole new spectrum of studies that led to the discovery that IL-6 was being released by the muscle, and then looking at gene expression in the muscle, and on it went. And it all started with Gatorade knocks down IL-6 and other cytokines. So then, though, what didn't work was, so here's natural killer cells, this important upfront cell of the immune system. It's probably the most important of the upfront cells. It's really active, really protecting you. And so, as you can see here, 1 hour after exercise, see how the activity, this is what we call lytic activity, its ability to lyse cancer cells or cells with viruses in it is knocked way down during recovery. Gatorade didn't counter that. So this is the Gatorade group, the placebo group, everything double-blinded, placebo-controlled, no effect. No effect on protecting that cell if you drink sugar water. So we then went to some field studies. This is the Grandfather Mountain Marathon in the mountains of North Carolina. This is the Charlotte City Marathon. And we tested about 100 individuals, and they agreed during the race at 8 stations to get color-coded drinks that either had real Gatorade or placebo. Some of these guys ran these morning races with nothing. They had to come in overnight fasted and ran the whole race on placebo. And all we did is pay them $100, and they agreed to do it. A lot of these marathon runners are looking for ways to justify all their training to their wives and their husbands. I got $100. And so that's good enough. So we took blood samples, an hour and a half over the race. They had to come in at 5 o'clock in the morning. We gave samples. And then we went out on the race course and provided the drinks, and then took samples afterwards. And we also took saliva samples. Now, in this particular study, we looked at salivary IgA. IgA coats the throat. And as you'll see here, after you run a race, the salivary IgA secretion rate goes down, and it's one of the most important reasons people get sick after marathons is that protective antibody is diminished. It's not there in the normal abundance. And as you can see, Gatorade didn't do anything to counter that. So then we went back and told Gatorade Sports Science Institute, well, your sugar works good for the inflammatory stuff, but it doesn't work with the innate immune system. So then they said, well, let's then look at things that we should add to Gatorade. And we did a whole bunch of studies. We looked at vitamin C, vitamin E, beta-glucan, fish oil, ibuprofen. We looked at everything mixed together. None of that